What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Save With Me podcast, episode 156. My name is Tommy Shelby. With me, as always, Mr. Ryan Robinson.
Hi there.
Today is sick. She'll be back hopefully next week. And we got James Sandusky for a very specific reason. Say hello, James.
Howdy.
So, Ryan, what you been doing?
I've been still trucking along with Mafia 3. Having a really good time with that. I've gotten to a kind of a turning point in the story. And a little bit more of the game has opened up for me with more optional objectives and more activities and stuff. I had a PC gaming moment last night. Where do you remember? Like, I always recall this when me, you, and Berto were trying to get the controller to work for Dark Souls.
Oh yeah.
And we couldn't. Like, it was a whole thing.
Yeah, PC gaming.
So, I've been playing Elite Dangerous on my computer, but I've been mostly using the controller because I've been too lazy to go to my closet and get the flight stick out.
HOTAS.
The HOTAS. So
It's one of our best viewed videos.
and
People really wanted to know about that flight stick, man.
yeah, and on the box it says for PS4 and PC. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just plug this bad boy in and I'll be ready to go. And you know, as you can expect, that's not how it went. And so I was like, all right, what the hell do I got to do? So I'm online looking up like what I need to do to get this thing working correctly. Yeah. I go to the Thrustmaster site to see, like, do I need drivers? Is there firmware that I need to install? There was.
You probably didn't need to.
And I did it, and it still didn't work.
You gotta go into Steam Big Picture mode,
and
then there's controller settings in there.
Okay. Well, so I go into the Elite Dangerous, and there it has a mouse and keyboard.
HOTAS.
It didn't have HOTAS in there. It has something called it says generic joystick or something like that. And I was like, well, this is a joystick, and the game worked worse than what I had with the controller.
Yeah. It
worked worse, and I was like, this is miserable. So I ended up, luckily, since I have it installed on my PlayStation, so I've been playing it like that on a TV tray in front of my television.
I can help you do this if you really want to.
I don't know. I think it would be nice to get it working.
Yeah.
But I have 3 versions of that game.
Sure.
So like it's at a point where like it kind of doesn't matter where I play because I've got 3 versions of that game, and also just been kind of just watching other people talk about Spider-Man and being sad that I can't play it.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
That's about it.
I might buy that for myself as an early birthday gift.
Yeah, I mean, nice. Your birthday's only 2 weeks away.
We'll see.
Yeah.
James?
Actually, less than that, a week away.
Oh man, I've been playing a butt ton of games.
Okay.
Playing a lot of World of Warcraft. Played Super Metroid, beat that.
You've already beaten it before.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Ninja Gaiden, I finally beat that.
Oh yeah, you said that the other night. I was proud of you.
That was.
You're one of 2 people that I know who did that.
That was an ordeal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially at the fact that if you die in the boss fight,
You die for real.
no, then you just have to start the whole level
Ah.
again from scratch. So if it wasn't for save states, I wouldn't have beat that game.
Yeah. I say you didn't really beat it then.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree with you, but I saw credits.
Sure.
Dude, you try and beat that freaking thing. That thing is hard.
Well, with save states, I could beat it.
Yeah. Try and beat it legitimately.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
our
know.
friend Kayla. That's how our friend Kayla got through Lion King.
Yeah.
I've actually legitimately beaten that game, and that was hard. That took a long time.
Those fucking monkeys.
Let's see, gosh, what else have I played? Beat Far Cry 5.
Oh, cool. How is that?
I didn't find it as enjoyable as 3 and 4.
Did you find the president's P tape?
No.
There's a mission in that game where you gotta find the president's P tape.
Oh, I didn't do a lot of the side missions.
Oh.
I was bored
Yeah.
in that game. Oh god, what else have I been playing?
The one you were talking about with the dwarves.
Oh, Myth.
Myth.
What is that?
So that is an old Bungie game, and you have these missions you have to do, and you're supposed to get it done with what you have.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll get reinforcements, but like, so.
Well, like what type of game is it?
Real-time strategy-ish. I can't really describe it. So basically, kind of picture like a StarCraft mission where you have like your forces, and you're supposed to beat that mission with just those forces.
All right. So no base building.
No base building. It's just
Like Commandos?
kind of like Commandos, but you've got a lot of commandos all at once.
Okay.
So you got like knights, archers.
Is it as hard as Commandos?
It's
Commandos is hard.
Commandos was hard.
I don't know anything about Commandos. I don't think I've played that.
Well, if Commandos had like 30 missions,
Yeah.
then yeah, it's just what makes it harder than Commandos is there's far more variety.
And it sounds like more to manage.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because that game, if something goes wrong, like you could just lose everybody.
Sure.
And you got to start all over.
That's the thrill.
Sure.
No.
So I've been playing that. Beat God of War 3 remastered.
Nice.
We recently got that for free, I think.
Yeah, I've had that. It's free this month on PS Plus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's that one and some other game. Yeah, I haven't played that since it originally came out on PS3. So going back and playing it again was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, I've been keeping my my PlayStation Now subscription alive specifically for God of War 2. I could have done that in a weekend, and I'm just so I get so distracted.
So we didn't bring this up on the newscast, and I wish I had. PlayStation Now is now available on PC. And the reason this is interesting is because, one, games that have never been on PC or were exclusive to PlayStation, you can now play there, whether that be Bloodborne or even something like Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
PC players have never been able to play, and now they can. I think that's pretty neat. And apparently, there's less lag on PC. I haven't tested it myself, but from what I've read, that's the case.
Might be worth checking out.
I also think it's neat. James and I were talking about this. Is like, if you can't afford a PlayStation or you can't afford a gaming PC, you're just streaming it. So even if you have a piece of shit laptop,
that's a good alternative.
You can play these games, and I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I played not a lot of games this week. I beat Donut County.
How is that?
It's fun. It's funny.
Yeah.
But I've been waiting for Donut County for a long time, specifically because early thoughts on it was that it was very similar to the Katamari series, and I love the Katamari series. I think if you're a fan of Katamari, not that you won't like this, but if that's what you're expecting, that's not what you're getting.
Right.
It's very simple, very easy, and very short. Which Katamari is none of those, you know. But it's fun. It is fun.
Is there a reason to play through it more than once?
Nah.
No.
Nah. Then I started. So I watched the Claire gameplay for Resident Evil 2 that came out.
Right.
That got me super excited for Resident Evil.
I cannot wait.
So, started playing through Revelations 1 again, which I had beat on 3DS when it first came out, but I haven't played it since. I'm playing it now on PC. Obviously, it's up-resed and all that, but like, it's still a marvel that they got that working on 3DS as early as they did, because that was a pretty early 3DS game. And it's still such a great game. If you haven't played that one, play it. It's worth your time.
I played the demo, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, fucking ghost ship, you know? Yeah. I think like the good Resident Evils always have like a good setting.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's a great game. Picked up 7. I'd already had 7 on PlayStation 4, but I picked it up again off of Humble for PC, started playing it there. And man, it's really good.
Yeah.
Real creepy. And still very Resident Evil.
Yeah. Perhaps more Resident Evil than more recent games.
You know, I mean, people talk about like Resident Evil like it's been in the toilet for so long, and I don't really feel like that's the case.
Yeah.
Like 4
I
was
just think
good.
the focus shifted.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
4 was good. 5 was good. 5, Capcom's best-selling game until Monster Hunter World.
Right.
6, okay, not so great. Other than that, like
I don't
okay.
know. I feel like people like again. I haven't played a whole lot of 6, but people talk about 6 like it was like the worst game. I'm just like I don't really see it. But
Well, we were talking about this that like Resident Evil has changed so much, you know, over the years. I mean, 1, 2, and 3 there's definitely a stronger emphasis on survival
right.
and horror. And they're all fixed camera angles, all that. Then you know, or excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over the shoulder, more action.
Right.
If 7, 8, and 9 are first person, I'd be down for that.
Yeah. And I feel like the franchise is a couple decades old at this point. And
Yeah.
You got to change it up. You can't they can't all be Resident Evil 1 for 20 years.
For sure. But yeah, so super excited for Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
7 is fantastic so far. A lot of references to previous games.
Tom, knowing what you know about me and my cowardly proclivities, you know how I deal with I almost said Overwatch, with Outlast.
Yeah.
You know how I fared with PT.
Yeah.
You saw me a little bit with Until Dawn.
Sure.
Would I be able to make it through Resident Evil 7?
Yeah, I think you'd be able to make it through. I mean, you scare easily, but like,
Yeah.
isn't that the point? Isn't that the point of these games?
We'll see.
You know?
Well, like the thing is, there's a fun level of being scared. Then there's just too much. Like without.
I think 7 is more scary than Outlast or PT.
Yikes.
To me.
Okay. Because Outlast scared me to the point where I can't play it.
Yeah. I think this is more scary than that.
Uh,
But, you know,
but you got a gun.
you can fight back,
Yes.
sort of.
So there's a
So,
little bit.
yeah, there's that. But yeah, it's great. Anyway, today we wanted to have James on because maybe a month or 2 ago now, I told James I wanted him to play 10 minutes of every NES game, every official NES game, of which there are 700 something games. He did not play 10 minutes, but he gave a good amount of time to all of them that he could. There were certain games he could not play because they were either light gun games
Yeah.
or games where we just couldn't get the ROMs working or whatever. But I'd say still, at 7 near 800 games,
It's a lot of games.
you've probably played about 98, 99% of these games. Some for only a little bit, some for to completion. And I think that there's definitely value to be gained from that experience. So I guess the first thing I want to know is overall, with the NES library, when I think about great game consoles, I always think about the library. So I think about, you know, of all those games, how much of them are actually quality experiences.
Right.
And I've always held the NES pretty high up there. What do you think?
I used to, but I think with NES, there's a lot of games that they're good and they're very good.
Right.
But then there's a lot of games that are just crap. Good
Sure.
Lord, there's a lot of crap on that thing.
But like, here's the thing though, right? Like, if you look at the quality games versus the amount of shit games, right? Where do you think that evens out? Because like, look at it this way: Switch has been out now for less than 2 years, right? As of this point, about a year and a half.
Mm.
There are already more Nintendo Switch games than there were over the entire lifetime of the NES. Already.
Wow.
Most of that is garbage, you know.
But a lot of the Switch stuff too, you've seen on other consoles.
Sure.
I think you can also attribute that to the ease of digital distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just so much easier to get games out there than it was
Absolutely.
30 years ago.
I just think like percentage-wise, at this point I'd have to assume that the Switch is worse. And I love the Switch.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of garbage on there.
Yeah, but
I think this week or last it hit like 1,000 games.
But that's true, as to what Ryan was saying. So if you were just to take physical games, though.
Okay.
So I mean that's the big difference. It's like, yeah, they can put a lot more out.
Yeah.
Digital wise as opposed to physical wise, like for the Nintendo.
Sure.
I think that's probably might be the more fair comparison.
Sure.
There were things I learned the hard way with the NES challenge. Basically, any game based on a movie is going to suck ass. Take, for instance, Dirty Harry.
Goonies 2 is a good game.
Goonies 2 was good. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
But that one's not based off of the Goonies.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
It's Goonies 2. It's in the name.
well, one thing I really did like...
I think he means it's not based off
I
an
know.
existing movie.
I know.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Terminator is okay.
Mad Max look cool.
Mad Max is okay.
Trying to remember. Terminator I did not like.
He stars Kyle Reese. You're in the sewer.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
I don't know. That's
Mad Max.
Cool.
Mad Max, I don't remember.
Mad Max top down. You drive
Yeah.
the car.
That's the thing.
It's got the inside shooting levels too.
That's the thing. It's going through so many games. It's such a short span of time.
Sure.
Stuff starts to blend together.
Now, there's something specific I wanted to ask you. Because I know you dipped on a lot of these games pretty quick. And I do understand why. When I was young and I was buying up NES games, originally my parents were buying them for me new, so I'd get the box and the manual and all that, and I'd be good to go. After a while, I'd get my own with my allowance money, you know? And more often than not, I'd be buying just a loose cart. Which is kind of the experience you had playing them, right? You didn't have the box, you didn't have the manual. I had several times where I bought games, and because there was the absence of the manual, I could get nowhere in the game. Because I didn't even know how to make it work.
Huh.
Even though it's only 2 buttons and a D-pad. Did you experience that at all?
Yeah.
Because like specifically I talk about Infiltrator all the time, which is a helicopter game. Which me and my sister had for years, and we never figured out how to leave the ground.
I probably played that one.
Yeah.
There were some there were some flight ones that
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was supposed to do. There was some of the Dungeons and Dragons games that it was, I don't really know what it's called, but it's like, I guess first person grid based, kind of like Phantasy Star 1.
Yeah.
And that one I was like, what in the world? Some of the sports games, even for having 2 buttons, I was like flailing around. Yeah, some stuff I was just utterly lost.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting that like we relied so heavily on manuals then.
Yeah.
You know.
And now they're just gone.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still there, but they're digital, right? I think just about every PS4 game has a manual that you can look at.
But then again, like
that just takes you to a website.
Yeah, but now we have like in-game tutorials for most games. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but like even as like when I was a kid, that was like a lot of people our age. The NES was my first console, and I got games so infrequently on that thing. And a lot of the times when I got a game, it was because I had played it somewhere else and I decided that I had to have it. And I don't have a lot of memories of playing bad games on the NES. Then again, I didn't play 900 games on the
Right.
Well, and that's the thing too, is at this point in our lives, games have been around for so long and we're so knowledgeable that take for instance Beethoven's Second.
You love that game.
Well, no,
You love it.
I bring it up because I remember renting that as a kid and thinking it was fun.
Yeah.
And then going back and playing it now, I'm just like, good God, I can't believe my parents wasted money renting this for me.
Bayou Billy.
Yeah, and so it's...
Wasn't Bayou Billy supposed to be the game that is everything?
Yeah, I always call Die Hard Trilogy the follow-up to Bayou Billy, because there's driving, there's shooting, there's brawling. You know?
I don't know. Die Hard Trilogy is pretty badass.
I like Die Hard Trilogy.
Die Hard Trilogy is better.
And
than Bayou
actually,
Billy.
what's funny is the Die Hard for the NES
Yeah.
was Die
Right.
Hard from the Die Hard Trilogy, but just really, really shitty.
Yeah, top down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was, in your opinion, the worst game?
That's very hard.
Was Bound by Flame available?
No.
Weirdly enough, I feel like if there were an NES version of Bound by Flame, it would have been better than the version
Sure.
we got.
Oh, that's so hard. There's so many bad ones. There's one, I joke about my buddy Warren because I made him play it with me. It's called 10-Yard
10-Yard Fight.
10-Yard Fight.
Yeah.
Good God, that
Football.
was horrible.
I watched you play that one.
Yeah, that was because that was like one of the very first ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what makes that football game worse than other NES football games?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. I was talking to my buddy today about it and how there's some sports games that were really good, and then other sports games of that same genre that are just utterly terrible.
Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel was so freaking
Awesome.
fun. That was really fun. And I've never played that before until then.
You played ice hockey though, right?
No, I've never played any of that.
They're very similar.
So 10-Yard Fight it moves so slow. It's like you run yard by yard, but really, really slow.
Well, that's actually fast then, right? If you're
no,
yard at a
okay.
time.
So the fight is playing the game.
Yeah,
Okay.
the fight is, and that's at the point where I was trying to do the 10 minutes per game,
Right.
until I got to that.
A yard a minute.
And I was just sitting here, and I was like, oh my God, how long have I been playing? It feels like an eternity.
It
Oh,
was
it's
not.
been like 2 minutes. I'm
Yeah.
like, I got 8 more minutes of this crap. I was like, okay, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So I try to make it be to where I would either be as long as I could like mentally take it,
Right.
or until I like got a game over.
Yeah.
Do you know 10-Yard Fight was a black box game?
Sure seemed like it the way that thing played and the
What
way
do you
it
mean?
looked.
Most of the black box games are awesome.
No, but as far as like if you compare that to like how like in my opinion one of the better ones like Tecmo Bowl or Super Tecmo
Sure.
Bowl, you could tell because it was more like you could tell it was an early
Yeah.
NES game.
What about Tecmo Bowl versus Joe Montana's football?
Joe Montana's football was for the Genesis.
Oh.
But it's like there's a lot of baseball games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I remember
golf
that
games.
one night you were like, I gotta go through this baseball game. And then there's a baseball game after that one.
Yes. Oh, it was like a span of like 7 baseball games in a row.
Okay, so I feel like, I don't know the frequency at which those baseball games were released back when they originally came out, but
Baseball was much more popular then.
right.
Yeah.
So when you were playing those baseball games in succession, were they all part of the same series?
When it was in succession, yes, because
Okay.
it was like bases loaded.
Was was the changes from game to game like apparent since you were playing them so quickly?
Some of them yes, some of them no. There a couple of the baseball games like it changed drastically. Some games it changed not for the better. Take for instance like Ikari Warriors, 1, 2, and 3. 3 played so different than the other ones, and it was just shit.
Yeah.
The first one, I remember playing that a long time ago and thinking it was fun, and going back and playing it now, I was just like, ooh, wow, this game sucks. Then the Double Dragons, like that changed a lot.
Yeah.
Mainly from 2 to 3. But yeah, the sports ones for the most part they stayed kind of the same.
Right.
but when they did change, it was a pretty big change.
Right.
Tell me about a game that you had not heard of that you actually enjoyed and we'll actually go back to.
Okay, so there was this one called Gunnac.
What was it called?
Gunnac. Gunnac.
Okay.
And it was all in Japanese, so I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
But it was a shooter, kind of like 1942.
Okay.
But you're a
Good
rabbit.
Okay.
So no, you're not a rabbit. You're like shooting all these like robot rabbits and stuff.
Okay.
It was really, really cool.
Like, and where are you? Are you?
I can't remember if you were a ship. Because that one I tried on a whim before I had started the challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
And I let my buddy Warren try it because he's like, ugh, I don't want to play this. I was like, just trust me. And he played it, and he was like,
Trust me.
and he played it, and he was like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just some random ass game. Yeah, Blades of Steel I tried. I never played it. I kind of heard about it.
It's one of those ones that like everybody has. It's not expensive to get a hold of, but it's a lot of fun. Very simple. I like simple sports games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We got Ryan here. We got you here. Tell me about McKids.
The Kids is, oh man, that is a poor man's version of friggin' Mario Brothers.
Really?
Yeah.
What is? Okay.
Elaborate. Are there burgers?
Yeah. And how many?
I don't remember burgers. I think you're going around trying to, instead of coins, it's
Nuggets.
No, I think it was M's. Like
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, golden arches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and basically you just go through the level, and you're trying to collect them and get to the end. There was enemies. I can't remember what they were.
Any Fry Kids?
No.
Burglars.
No, so
Grimaces.
no McDonald's characters in there.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a Ronald McDonald Genesis game that's supposed to be pretty good. Like, actually good, but I don't remember what it's called.
I guess what I would probably dislike about both of those games is that they both predate the McDouble by like 20 years.
Sure.
So.
Sure.
Yeah, you got McDonald's on Star.
What you said a few minutes ago about
McDonald's.
McDonald's really got me thinking. We should get him some McDonald's. No, but what you said a minute ago about playing these games as a kid and then going back to them and being like, wow, this wasn't that good. It's funny that you said that, because when we first started the conversation, I thought about the NES and how of all the consoles that have come and gone, and the NES is one of those ones that people have always kind of held on to, and it seems to as far as public opinion and the memories that people have with it, it seems to be the one that has aged the best.
Well, it saved video games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now with that, I think a lot of it is the fact that, and I feel bad saying this, but I think a lot of the fact of why it's so beholden still is the fact that people have the memories of it.
Well, see, that's what I was gonna say. Is that I feel like a lot of the times when people talk about the NES, they don't. One, they haven't inundated themselves with 900 games or anything.
Right.
But they're also maybe 25 years removed from the memories that they have of that thing.
Yeah.
I have to agree and disagree to a certain extent. There are games that I loved as a kid that I've gone back to that I'm like, wow, this fucking sucks. But at the same time, I can think of many NES games that I had as a child that are still fucking great.
And that's true. There are
many.
There are a lot of games that are still good.
What I was saying was that kind of makes the games that have like stood the test of time for the past 35 years or so.
Yeah.
That kind of just makes them more impressive to me.
Well, it's like 2,600 games, right? Like, most of those are garbage.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will fight you on that.
But
like,
you got some gems in there.
Most of those are garbage. But, and I'm sure probably, like, if we counted it up number for number, most of the NES games are probably garbage too. But, like, at least what I owned as a kid, like not even like nostalgia. I think most of them are still quite good.
Well, yeah, like because again, with the games that I owned, right? Again, it was either I was exposed to them before buying them,
Yeah.
or I just heard so much about them or seen so much about them that I just kind of knew that they would be good. I didn't.
Not me though. Most of mine were like my dad would send them to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He had no idea what was good.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was good.
Actually, hold on. I did get one game for the NES that I didn't like, that I did get from my dad. It was Bart versus the Space Mutants.
Oh yeah.
I did not care for that game.
All the Simpsons games were bad.
But you know, games like
I think Krusty's Funhouse gets a bad rap.
it's not a bad game.
It's okay.
That's probably the worst version of that game.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I honestly liked the Game Boy version better.
Yeah.
But you know, the game my library consisted of Super Mario Brothers and River City Ransom, obviously, and like Rad Racer and things
Yeah.
like that.
I did not like River City Rampage or River City Ransom. It was a terrible, terrible game.
Okay.
Nah, it was fun. I liked it.
What did you think of the other Kunio-kun games, like Crash and the Boys?
That was
Or Clash at Demon Head?
Crashing the Boys was interesting. That was the one that was the kind of like Olympics games.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. Clash at Demon Head, I know I played it. I honestly can't remember what it was like.
Did you play Renegade?
More than likely.
Renegade is the first game in that series.
and they're regular sized.
Yeah, they're not like chibi. They're like
There,
tall dudes.
I probably
Same
played
heads.
it. That's the thing. I'd have to see it to
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Like
Hey, did you have Ghoul School on there?
yes,
What do you think of that?
that one was that the one where you're playing as Frankenstein?
No,
Or,
your high school student Spike O'Hara saving his school from otherworldly demons at the Ghoul School.
sounds so familiar. I'd have to see it.
Yeah, I think if you saw it, you know it.
There are a couple of Sesame Street games on the NES that I had as a kid. And they're edutainment, obviously.
Yeah,
Did you actually put time into those?
I did.
Yeah.
I think
There's one with Grover, and you don't remember what you're doing, but he takes off on a spaceship. I love that thing. And that same cart has a game with Ernie, and there's like some like magic hat thing.
Mm.
But like, I'm sure it's hard to like put yourself in that, like, you haven't been a little kid in a long fucking time, and even when you were, Sesame Street may not have been your thing. But like, do you think that like the edutainment games on the console had much value to them? Because I do.
they were as basic as they were.
Yeah.
Given with what they had, and
You were talking about Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego.
yeah, so those games, I think, given for the time that they came out, they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like we'll take for instance, like we had, I think it was on our Amiga, was Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember that it came with like this thick ass book,
Mm-hmm.
and it had like all the flags for all the countries, and so that one, like, you would learn stuff. You had to learn stuff to figure out what was going on. Even
Right.
where in Time, I would play that at the library,
Right.
and I didn't know much about history at the time, but it does a good job of like trying to teach you stuff.
Yeah.
So I know they were good.
Yeah.
The Sesame Street ones, I mean, yeah, those were meant. You could tell those were meant for kids.
Yeah, they're meant for like little kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something that I think if you were to give them that, it's a good way. It's a good way to get them to start learning.
Is Zelda 2 a good game?
I like Zelda 2.
Me too. A lot of people don't.
How come?
It's very different.
You get the side view thing, like
Yeah.
Shovel Knight takes a lot from Zelda 2.
Yeah.
It's a whole different style of it's it's a Zelda game that plays completely different than any other Zelda game.
Right.
And it's kind of like with Castlevania 2. It completely just went off in its own direction. And a lot of people didn't like it, so they went back to the way it was because it'll sell.
Yeah.
But Zelda 2, it's so different and it's so hard that I just find it real fun. I always have.
You know, Zelda 2 was actually the first game in that franchise that I'd ever seen. And so when I was a kid, I thought that's what Zelda was.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything different. And then I remember when Link to the Past came out, and I was like, "Oh, this is different."
Yeah.
Not knowing any better.
Link to the Past was the first Zelda I ever played.
Yeah.
First one's the first one I ever played, but I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
The game seems kind of like it'd be kind of inaccessible to a child of that age. But it's, you know, you got all these NES games, and when I was watching you guys load that machine up, I was thinking about how in the 80s that would have been like every kid's dream.
Yeah.
It's just getting every Nintendo game ever, and to hear you talk about it, like playing through it as an adult, and the fatigue that kind of set in as you went through it, and like it was kind of a crazy like monkey's paw sort of moment.
Yeah. That's actually a very apt description.
It was like a very be careful what you wish for sort of situation.
Yeah, well, and honestly, like right now with me, because I haven't worked in almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
And I've been playing. It's like
That's what you're doing.
I've got nothing to do.
Passing the time, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the week I've been waiting for because I got a lot of stuff that
has to get done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like with all the time I spent playing video games, I'm like, this is great. It's like the longest I haven't worked since 2000 and 2003.
Yeah.
And I'm like I want to go back to work. I'm tired of playing video games.
Yeah.
You'll miss it when it's gone.
I know, and I know I will. And so it's weird. It's like a balance. Like weights, and it's just like
it's easier to appreciate it when you gotta go to work 5 days a week, and then you actually you get that week, and you're like, now I can sit down and play my game.
Yeah.
Versus when you're doing that for 40 hours a week.
Yeah, and because video games, it's my de-stressor.
Right.
And now, like that, I don't have anything to stress about. I'm like.
It's just something that you do now.
Yeah.
I'm sad you didn't get to play Faxanadu. We're gonna rectify that.
Oh, I have it. I've played it before.
Okay, well, what do you think of Faxanadu?
I like it.
You like it, all right.
Tommy loves it.
Turrican?
Did not like Turrican.
Really?
I did not like Turrican.
Elaborate on that.
Have you played Super Turrican?
I haven't played Super Turrican.
Okay.
I have to imagine that these Super versions are far better than the Nintendo ones.
It is, yeah.
How come you didn't like Turrican?
I just didn't like it.
Okay, that's all right.
Found out basically any game made by LJN or Ocean will suck ass.
Addams Family.
Addams Family was terrible.
Yeah.
I don't remember where, but Ocean had published Mortal Kombat at some point. That may have been PC. I'm
Maybe
not positive.
Game Boy.
Maybe Game Boy.
I feel like Ocean published the Robocop game that was on NES.
They did.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Robocop 3 was bad. Which was funny because it was Robocop and
Are
Robocop
they bad
3.
though, or are they just hard? Because they are hard.
No, they're bad.
Yeah.
Robocop, so you're punching people. Like, you don't even get to use your gun until you get to like a certain spot.
Sure, but imagine how cool it would be to be able to punch as hard as Robocop can.
Like, I remember playing Robocop versus Terminator for the Super Nintendo, renting that when it came out.
Yeah.
And I loved it then.
Yeah.
Played it not too long ago with my buddy because it was I had it on the SNES Classic. And it's I mean, it's still fun, but it's not as like badass as I remember it being from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But that had a lot of the same feel as Robocop and Robocop 3, but just better.
Yeah.
Was a Rampage game ever released on NES?
Yes.
Yeah. Really good one.
Did you play that?
I did, and I...
You're wrong. It's great.
No, okay, it's the thing. It's... I think for the time, with it coming and being there, it was good, but it has not aged well.
Yes, it has. You're wrong. All right. You're wrong.
Agreed.
That's okay.
Agree to disagree.
Think about more modern Rampage games, right? Like World Tour, Total Destruction, or
World
whatever.
Tour was great.
I mean, what do you think of those? Because like
I-
Rampage as a series has not evolved that much. Those games are still very similar
They're
Oh, I
all
know.
fun.
to the original Rampage.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I honestly can't answer that because I haven't played World Tour since it came out on the 64.
Yeah.
So I don't know how. I can't give an accurate description of.
What do you think that Dwayne Johnson would have to say to you right now?
He got paid, so I'm sure he's happy. But no, I played it. It was very slow.
Oh yeah, it's a slow game.
But no, I mean like it was like slow. If it came down to it, like I would rather play the arcade version than the NES
I
version.
think most people would,
But
How many Final Fantasies came out on that thing?
two.
Did you?
no.
In the U.S., just the
In
one.
the US 1 and
So-
Japan 3.
Yeah.
I can't imagine putting just 10 minutes into Final Fantasy.
I put
In Japan, 4. No,
no 4 was on a
because 5 and 6 were SNES.
4 was SNES.
Really?
Yeah, because 4 is
Okay.
2.
Then which one's 5?
5 is 5. 5 never came out here.
Okay, so they did 4 as 2 here,
So
and they did 6 as 3. I know 6 is 3.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So
Okay.
they totally skipped
Confusing.
over 2, 3, and 5.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, well, my cousin had to explain that whole thing to me.
Anyways,
when I went
we
from
only
3,
got
so-
one Final Fantasy on the NES here.
I feel like I would have just, I would have just bypassed Final Fantasy altogether.
I put enough time into it to where like people could see if whoever was watching it
Yeah.
could see like this is where it came from.
Yeah.
Like I skipped over the Dragon Warriors.
Yeah.
I like that first Final Fantasy game.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, I have the first one. I have it, the re-release that they put out on PlayStation. I played a good amount of that, and I agree that I hit a wall with that game, and I just kind of gave up. But
No, those early RPGs, man, are freaking grueling.
Yeah.
They are grind fest.
and again, like I can't imagine trying to play that game as a child. But
See, but you were happier to grind back then.
yeah,
You know, this is when a game that today could be beaten in a few hours would last you
yeah.
half a fucking year. You know.
Yeah, and I think also because of we didn't have access to information the way that we have access to it now, and I think that a lot of games, especially games like that, or like your Metroids or your Legend of Zelda, they had like a level of mysticism to them, and like with Final Fantasy, right? Like you're figuring out how to navigate through that game and like get through the monsters. Like you couldn't just go on to GameFAQs and find a guide to get through it.
Yeah, or in the case as Metroid, like if you wanted to do it, get graph paper
Yeah.
and make the map while you go.
Which is like to me still one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
That's what I
honestly.
did with Platoon when I played that when I first got my NES. It starts off, it's like you're in a maze, it's the jungle,
Yeah.
and
Is it based on the movie?
No.
Oh.
It's bad, but it's one of those bad games that I just like.
Yeah.
But that one, yeah, I got paper and I had to make a map, and then once you get out of that, you're in these tunnels,
Yeah.
and then from there it's like another thing where you got to make a map.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard game.
I made a Shadow of the Colossus map. Trying to track down those collectibles in the new one.
Yeah. I remember watching you having you look at your map and like, okay, if it's supposed to be here, then
Yeah.
I'm going down here. And And these 2 points intersect here, so I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
But I like games that I like it when games kind of they don't necessarily actively encourage you to like do stuff like real world stuff to like help you navigate through the game. But it's cool when a game is set up in a way that enhances the experience for you. Like when we played Her Story for a little bit, and I was taking notes and stuff. That was fun to me.
Your aha moments.
and stuff like that. It's fun when you take notes or you draw a map or whatever that helps, and you use that stuff to get you through a game. That's just like that makes it feel like the victories that you have in that game feel a little bit more real.
Well, I always bring up like Zelda 1. One of my favorite things in that game is that like in almost every Zelda game, you'll find walls that are bombable and there'll be items in there, right? In Zelda 1, there is nothing telling you that, like, the wall's not discolored here. There's no crack here. This part of the wall looks exactly the same as all the other parts of the wall.
Yeah.
That's just the right spot.
Yeah, and
I love that shit.
And 2 of the dungeons are like that.
Yeah, I love that shit because, like, in basically every Zelda sense, you'd see, like, a little outline, the bomb goes there.
Yeah. But that feeling of when you find that, like, on accident, like you accidentally laid down a bomb and it went off and then the wall opened up, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, there are pockets of the video game market that still have stuff to this day like that, but it's not. But at the same time, you could still just as easily go online and someone else already figured it out, and you could just look it up.
Yeah.
But like finding that stuff on your own and feeling like, I'm kind of a master at this game now because I know all this shit.
Well, even like the first 3 Mario Bro games, right? Super Mario Bro games. All the secrets in those, I can't tell you how I know them.
Yeah.
I didn't read them in a magazine.
You just know them.
I don't remember a friend telling me about them, but like that's ingrained in my memory probably till I die.
That's like Animaniacs for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
You have to. The way to get the true ending is you have to collect scripts that are hidden throughout the stages, and they're hidden in certain ways that, like, I remember as a kid going through and just trial and error figuring these all out. Like, there's one when you're going through the sci-fi studio, there's a robot there or something, and you're supposed to dash by him, and it's like he'll spin, and you have to dash by him a certain amount of times until he drops a script. And it's just little things like that. It's like you have to go out of your way and search.
Yeah.
And it's like looking at it back then, it's like just trial and error.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like you said, it's just like, all right, let's go here.
It kind of trivializes that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like to the point where there are lots of challenging like point and click adventure games, right? But you always play them with the knowledge that if you really, really, really want to, if you're really stumped and you really want to, you just go online and
Monkey Island.
Yeah, just look it up.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just cool to kind of go back to, it kind of like at least for a little while, go back to a time when that wasn't such a thing.
Now I will say this though, from these games I played, I still hold true to the belief that games were harder back then. Because some of those games were just freaking god-awfully hard.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard to say, right? Because like I could name games today that are harder to beat than some of the games were back then, and vice versa. But I think in general, you are correct. More often than not, those games were harder. Yeah.
I kind of have to wonder like, was it just because was that intentional, like, or did they have less of a feel for like game balance back then, or
I don't know. Take for instance Battletoads.
Yeah.
I know one person who has beaten that game legitimately, and that guy is crazy because I beat that on the rare replay, but that's because you could do the save states.
See, but think about games like Battletoads or like Ghouls and Ghosts, right? Like games that are known to be hard. on the NES, like those specific games are holdovers from arcade machines, which are intentionally hard.
Right.
You know, but like if you take like Super Mario Brothers and you take Super Meat Boy, Super Meat Boy is obviously much harder.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that because I feel with Super Mario Bros. It's not such a test of reflexes. I think like
In the later stages, it can be.
It can be, but it's definitely a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
Like with Meat Boy, like there's a lot of snap decisions that you have to make, and getting into that rhythm. And I think
I do think it goes both ways. But I do agree with you. I do think more often than not those games are more difficult.
And also maybe it's just the whole idea, because you talked before about how infrequently people finish their games now. And the idea and it seems, and I don't have like the data to back up the statement, it's just speculating. I think the idea of getting more for your game, like we're getting more out of your game, is kind of.
Yeah, games were much more expensive back then.
Yeah, so it's kind of like and like with how frequently, like if you sign up for an online service, like how you're getting free games every month, or like you got flash sales where they're selling you AAA games for $1, things like that. So it's not such a big deal anymore. And so like Tom said, like especially like the inconsistent way that games were priced back then. If you paid $80 for a cartridge, you kind of want to play it for a long time, because that was all. Like if you paid for it with your lawn mowing money, then you want to play that game for a while.
Sure. Oh yeah, well it's like I remember I got a Super Empire Strikes Back Christmas of '94, and that game it's so hard.
Yeah.
And
I feel like from what I understand, like a lot of those like Star Wars games on the Super Nintendo they're
hard. They're all hard. I think Empire's got the notoriety of being the hardest of the three.
Yeah. And
I've gone back and tried to play it a couple times, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, how in the world?
I finished one of them as a kid. I couldn't tell you which one though.
I finished them all. I never finished the first one until when they re-released it on PS4. When
you know what? It had to be Empire because Tauntaun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I beat that one a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
And like going back and playing it now, I'm like, I must have been way better than this back then, because I suck now.
It's a different skill set, right?
It's very different.
Yeah.
What kind of games are there? They're
2D side-scrolling games.
Okay.
But even like Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventure is made in the same play style as that, and that game's freaking hard as balls. It was hard as balls back then.
Stay away from George Lucas games.
Yeah. That's probably like, even some of those games that are bad, I still had fun playing them.
Yeah.
Like take for instance Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
It's a horrible game.
So
I still have fun playing it.
My memory of Friday the 13th isn't that of a bad game. It's that of a difficult game, but
it's both.
Right. But again, my memory of Friday the 13th is like 25 years old at this point. I don't know. I feel like with the way that we gauge whether or not a game is bad on the NES, like the way I kind of judge games is based on like the level of technology where we're at right now, and how I believe a game should be designed. And obviously, like it's hard to kind of divorce myself from that idea when trying to revisit something like a game on the NES, because it's like all those games are so old, and I have like we said before, we have those games that are just always going to be good, right? But you have those other games, like is it that this game is bad, or is it just outdated and this thing doesn't appeal to me anymore?
And I try to do that too, to try and like think of the game as if I was playing it back then.
Yeah.
But Friday the 13th, even back then, people thought it was a bad game.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like what
Like,
I like my memory of that game is like super cloudy. Like what do you like? What do you do in that?
So that is, you're trying to protect the kids from Jason,
Okay.
and basically you're going left or right, and there's different houses. You have to light the fireplaces in each house to make sure Jason doesn't get in there.
Is it based on a specific movie or
No,
just?
it's
okay.
just, and the controls are really bad. Some of the camp counselors, like you could tell, they're like faster,
Okay.
and then some that just move like they're just trudging through mud. Jason is psycho overpowered.
Okay.
As he
he'll-
should be.
Yeah, I mean
Like
that's the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's like he'll come and he's got like, if you're unfortunate enough to where he's got the axe,
Oh.
it's just like he comes, he's like dead.
Yeah. I mean, how many hits with the axe can you take? You know.
Yeah. But it's, and then like if the farthest I ever made it in that game was a long time ago. I played it with this neighbor kid. We got all the houses lit, and then it's the next day, and Jason is like, you survived the first day. Now Jason is faster and stronger. So whoever's dead is still dead, but then you have to go and do the same thing again, and then you have to get to Jason's house in the woods.
Oh, you want to go to Jason's house?
Because you have to burn his sweater that his mom made him. That's what it happened. That's what it was. And so I think the overall,
Is that for real?
yeah, that's what you had to do. And when you get there, and then you have to fight Jason and his mom. And his mom was like a floating head
Okay.
that was kind of like a Medusa head.
I'm gonna be honest. All the way up until you said that, this game, I was like, man, this game sounds really tense and kind of scary. But
Until you have to burn the sweater.
I don't know. But again, like I think I would try to play Friday the 13th, and I feel like I wouldn't be able to parse apart, like, is this game bad or is it just old? You know?
Okay, so there is one that it was bad. Okay, let me rephrase that. There's three of them that come to mind immediately when I think of just games being bad. One of them was The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Oh, that was so funny.
Well,
I watched you play that one. Fuck, what the fuck were you fighting? Because you're on like a ferry boat.
yeah.
I vaguely remember that game.
What the fuck were you fighting? There was something you were fighting that was like oddly out of place. I don't remember.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
It was, I can't really describe it. You see, this is why
Yeah.
I need to see these games, because then I could tell you
Yeah.
more in detail. But that one, yeah, it was something that was way out of place.
Yeah. Was it pirates?
It was pirates.
pirates,
It
right?
was pirates.
Yeah.
Pirates on a
the
riverboat
Yeah.
in the Mississippi
on
River.
Mississippi, yeah.
And I remember saying that too. I was like, what? But no, one that was really out of place.
Tom Sawyer, Black Flag.
Back,
Cool.
Back to the Future 2. Like, Back to the Future 1 was just god-awful.
Wait, so back
So
to
that's one I liked as a kid.
Back
That
to-
now I can admit is a bad game.
Yeah.
So Back to the Future 1, because I remember my cousin had that game.
Yeah.
That's the one that starts out with you're going.
You start skateboarding top down, then you get to the pies.
I never got to the pies.
Oh man.
But no, you're trying to collect clocks, because on the bottom of the screen
That's how you go through time.
is the picture of Marty
Your
and
family
his brother and
disappearing.
sister. So you have to collect the clocks to make sure that you don't disappear.
Okay.
And once you get to the end, then yeah, you get, I guess, to this pie throwing level.
Yeah.
No, the pie thing is Back to the Future 1.
Okay, no, that was Back to the Future 1. Back to the Future 2, so it's side-scrolling.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's side-scrolling. I had no idea what I was supposed to do, and there's hamburgers that are attacking me.
What?
Yeah.
Sure.
There's hamburgers that are attacking you, so you're having to fight this anthropomorphized food.
Mm.
And I was like, what in the world is this?
Well, Better Off Dead had a dancing hamburger. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. So.
Maybe they got their wires crossed.
Sure.
I don't know, but it was bad. Dirty Harry was really bad.
I feel like
Gunsmoke.
Huh?
Gunsmoke's fun.
Gunsmoke's awesome.
Based on the
Gunsmoke's
TV
fun.
show?
He showed me Gunsmoke. I'd never played it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's like a shooter. I don't know if like calling it a rail shooter is right, because not really, but like.
There was another game on there. It played exactly like Gunsmoke.
Is it one of wait, hold on. Is it one of those games that like goes to the side?
No, you're going up the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, basically it's you're supposed to just you're going straight. You're supposed to get to like a certain point level or something.
Think like a vertical scrolling shooter, right?
Okay.
Like a 1942, but like doesn't control the same. It's different.
Yeah, so when you shoot, one button will have you shoot that way.
Okay.
One button will have you shoot that way, and if you hit both, then you're shooting straight.
Okay.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Now the one that still holds up that I love, Jackal.
I was about to bring up Jackal.
So
you and I have differing opinions. I love Jackal, I really do. I like Guerrilla War better, but
Jackal's one with the Jeeps, right?
yeah,
Okay.
the titular Jackal.
The Jeep was called Jackal?
I think so. Right?
Hey, did you have Knight Rider?
Yes, I had no idea what I was supposed to do in that game.
So, I remember that was a game that I bought specifically because of how much I love that TV show, and I remember playing it, and what I was expecting were there to be parts where I was walking around as Michael Knight and punching bad guys, like, you know, mixed in with the car stuff. But from what I played, it was all car stuff, and like sometimes you had to make the car jump, and sometimes and like there were different colored cars, and some of them were innocent people. You don't want to kill them, and some of them were bad guys. And I remember as a child, I had trouble like separating the two. But yeah, that was a good game.
There was one, I can't remember what it was, but basically, I was just behind cars, just shooting them, just blowing everything up.
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do, but
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep doing this.
Did you play Felix Cat?
That wasn't that bad.
I liked it okay.
I imagine that game is a platformer.
It
right?
is.
Yeah, it was. I like that one. That one
Did you
wasn't bad.
play Yonoid?
Yonoid wasn't that bad.
Yonoid is a pretty good game. Yonoid is just a reskin of a Japanese game.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Did the Noid hate or love pizza?
I don't remember, but how can you avoid the Noid if you are the Noid?
I don't think that in that game you're supposed to be avoiding him.
Well, you weren't collecting pizza, I tell you what.
Did you have his that fucking thing? I don't know
No,
what it is
you had
called.
like a yo-yo or something you would throw out.
Because I remember him having like a pogo stick that was like also an anvil or some shit. Or not an anvil, but like a weighted, like he would jump on like his whole thing was like he would jump on people's pizzas.
Yeah.
So I guess he hated pizza. But why do I remember there being a Ronald McDonald NES game?
There's Ronald McDonald games. Some are good, but on the NES, I don't know that there is.
I can't remember.
And I also remember there being a dodgeball game.
Yes, there was a dodgeball
Okay.
game. That one wasn't. I couldn't figure out the controls for it,
And I remember it also being a Kunio-kun game.
Yeah, so there are several Kunio-kun dodgeball games.
Okay.
I remember when I was playing the dodgeball one, I was like, can I beat the purple cobras?
Well, I remember I saw that game as a kid and I wanted it so bad. I knew this other kid that had it, and you know I'd always watch him and some others play it. And when I wanted that game so bad, because one, it was a dodgeball video game, and two, it had the Kunio-kun guys in it. Of course, I didn't know anything about Kunio-kun when I was 7 years old, but I like that
Street
game
Fighter?
a lot.
Street Fighter 2010, that thing
Yeah.
sucked ass.
Is that the one where you play as Ken?
Yeah, in
Ken.
the future.
Yeah.
No,
What is that game? Exactly.
It's like 2D. I don't know. I guess it's a platformer,
Yeah.
but like,
You know the one that I played. Okay, for instance, here's some that were vastly different.
Okay.
Skater Die,
Cool.
and then Skater Die 2. Completely
is it
different.
Skater
plays.
Die 1 or 2 when you have the American Gladiator thing
Skater Die 1.
and you
Yeah,
try to hit the
yeah.
guy off the board?
Yeah, that's Skater Die 1. Unless Skater Die 2 also.
Yeah,
has
that was
it.
Skater Die 1. Because Skater Die 2, you're skateboarding, it was like left or right, and I think you had a water gun that you would squirt.
Of course.
And then there was
love water guns.
And then they had skier die, which was
I remember that.
exactly the same as skater die. The skater die too. I remember it had this like super rockin' theme song that I was just like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Like I just kind of sat there and listened to the theme song for a while.
I remember Skater Die 1 had 2 different vert events where one was just you like doing tricks.
Yeah, there were a few different events.
But there's another vert event where like I never figured it out, but there's a meter on the side of the screen and you got to figure out how to get like enough momentum, and then like if you didn't do it right, then you just fall through the half pipe.
The very last game on there, I thought it was very apt. It's called Zombie Nation, I think.
Zombie Nation's awesome, dude.
What is that?
It's a shooter.
Yeah, it's a shooter, but
you're like this head thing.
Yeah, you're this disembodied head, and you're going through and you're shooting laser beams out of your eye and spinning.
That's the first time you
fireballs.
played it?
Yeah.
That game's so cool.
And
Check that out.
Yeah.
like I was playing it, and I remember sitting there. I was like, "What in the world
It's a cool
is this?"
fucking game, man. Yeah.
I have my buddy Warren play it, and he was just like, he's like, "This is stupid," but then he got like all into it, and he's like, "I can't believe I like that game."
Did you play Shatterhand?
I do not recall.
I don't know if I can jog your memory, but it's a game where you play as a titular Shatterhand, and you go through and because he's got like adamantium fists. It's not adamantium, but he's got metal hands, and he like your main attack is punching, and then you got robots that you got like these support robots that help you, and they like you do. I don't know. I'll have to show it to you. I don't know if you actually went through and played it, but I'll show it to you, see if I can jog your memory.
It sounds familiar. Let me look that up real quick. Let's see.
I remember liking that game a lot. But
Turtles Arcade or Manhattan Project?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Turtles Arcade. I remember as a kid, like everybody had that game.
Yeah,
that was the game.
by
Now,
Ultra,
yeah, and
which is also Konami apparently.
yeah, you like playing that now. It's very clunky.
Oh my god, I hate you. I fucking hate you.
No, it is. It's still fun.
You're never coming back here.
No, it's still fun, but it's like
It's better than Double Dragon.
I did not like Double Dragon.
There you go.
Also, like
It's still like the brawlers on the NES. I feel like it's better than most every other brawler.
They're
on there.
good, but honestly, I think that the Ninja Turtles 3 plays better than the arcade one, than Ninja Turtles 2.
Okay.
But Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, gave me more levels than was in the arcade version.
Very true. It was a lot harder. There's a lot of like graphical issues with that one too, but I think 3 is the better game.
Fair enough.
No, that's not fair.
Well, they're both better than the first one.
Oh yeah, no, hands down. I got I did get up to the fabled dam level, and yeah,
With
I could
the bombs.
Yeah, with the bombs, and
I don't think the dam's really that hard.
it's not.
I would like to revisit that game as an adult.
It's not that it's hard, but like the game itself, it's just not good.
What are you looking at over there?
Shatterhand.
Okay. Do you remember that at all?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Because you're hitting the walls and they're blowing up.
Yeah. That game's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that one wasn't bad. I didn't put a lot of time into it.
Probably no more than 10 minutes.
Enough to get the gist of it. But yeah, no, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Rygar?
Rygar did not. Oh, that wasn't on there. But I have played it. I do like that one.
Okay.
I don't remember Rygar.
It plays
You got
completely.
that shield thing.
It plays completely different than the arcade one, and that arcade one sucks.
Well, I can't place it.
Yeah.
It's funny because
They
then
made a PS2 one at
That
some
was-
point.
it's like God of War.
I know, like, I hear the name, but
Yeah.
I just...
You know one
I
of
know
them?
the
What, the
name,
disc
but-
shield?
Yeah.
One of the when you beat it, you can unlock it to where it's the pizza shield.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Double Dribble.
I don't remember if I played that one. There was one, it was
Arch Rivals.
Arch Rivals. that was one that I remember playing back then as a kid and really liking it. And playing it now, I think it was just way different. I was like,
Top Gun.
Top Gun was fun. Top Gun was fun.
There you go.
And I've never seen Top Gun, the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not a Tom Cruise fan. I cannot stand him.
Okay.
I don't know, he's pretty cool as Maverick.
But yeah, I remember my parents, they told me they went out on a date and they saw that and they're like, that movie sucked.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sounds like a weird thing to say. I've never heard anybody say that before.
they did not like it.
Really
But-
learning a lot about you today.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, of all the people that I would expect to like Top Gun, you'd be really high up that list.
I've never seen it.
Okay.
I feel like that's a pretty American movie. And you're probably the most American guy I know.
Okay.
Batman was a movie game that was okay.
There was Batman and Batman Returns, right?
Yeah.
Batman Returns. I played that the other day for the Super Nintendo, and I remember getting towards the end as a kid, and I was playing it this time, and I was just getting utterly annihilated. I was
Those motorcycle guys?
yes,
Yeah.
Batman Returns was the one
like
where...
Final Fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which one was the one where he was purple? And
The Batman.
that's
Okay.
Batman.
Yeah.
That one, it wasn't bad.
I like it.
It was hard. I'll say that. I played a lot of the I played all the wrestling games on there, and I played them again when my buddy Warren came over.
I played one wrestling game on there that I thought was okay.
Some of them were good,
Yeah.
and some of them just straight up sucked.
No, I played two. There was the WWF game, and then there was some other game I can't remember, but
There was like 3 or 4 of them in a row.
yeah.
One of them was. One of them had 2 people on the cover.
Yeah.
Because I think that one was WCW, and then the other ones were WWF.
I remember playing a Popeye game on there that was literally Donkey Kong.
Yeah, because that's what they had that in the arcade.
That's what they call a Donkey Kong in Japan.
Oh,
Popeye.
a Popeye.
Gosh, what are some of these other games?
What do you think? Because, like you were saying, I think this can be said about most console generations that the later, the older games tend to be better than the earlier games.
I wouldn't really say better.
I mean, I don't know. I think oftentimes that is the case. If you look at like the games that came out late in the NES library,
Those cross-generation games.
no cross-generation games, but like Kirby's Adventure is a late NES game. Yoshi. Mario 3, things like that, compared to the earlier games. You don't think that those are better?
Okay, I see what you mean.
Let's let that sink in a little bit.
Did you play Remote Control starring Colin Quinn?
What? Colin Quinn?
Yeah. Remote Control?
Colin Quinn from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Wasn't in any NES games, was he?
There was a remote control. There's a game on the NES based on the game show Remote Control, which was hosted by Colin Quinn.
I don't recall that one.
Mm.
I remember what's funny is all the video games that were based off of game shows, they were all made by Game Tech.
Wheel of Fortune was alright.
We played Jeopardy.
One of the Wheel of Fortunes was bad.
Yeah.
That one was Wheel of Fortune starring Vanna White.
Okay, look. Later games in the life cycle, what do you think compared to the earlier games?
They were good. Better.
No, like take for instance like Ikari Warriors 3.
Okay.
Because they had experimented more with it to try and do other things. It completely changed the play style as opposed to what Ikari Warriors started off as, where it was more commando based. And Ikari Warriors 3, I was like, I don't know what you were trying to do with this one.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. There's a game that I think you were here playing it. It may have been Dick Tracy. Was it Dick Tracy that was pretty much GTA?
Yes.
That game is pretty cool. that game encourages you to be a good cop.
You know, it's funny because Dick Tracy on the Genesis plays so differently.
Yeah, I remember
That's
that
often
game.
the case, though, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember in Dick Tracy for the NES, you had those, like Tom was saying with the GTA, like you had that top-down driving portions.
And then you get into the buildings, and then it's like a
Side-scroll.
side-scroll.
Yeah, and you punch the guys who are unarmed, and you shoot the guys that are shooting at you.
Yeah. And then in the Genesis one, you'd have people in the background, and you'd hit one of the buttons, and you would pull out your Tommy gun.
Yeah,
and you're like shooting like that.
That game was cool.
Yeah, that game was really cool. There's one that was on the Genesis that was far better. It's called The Immortal. And for the Genesis...
Dick Tracy.
Yeah, Dick Tracy's pretty cool, Sam. Be careful with your next words.
No, for the Genesis, like, that was weird. It was like an old school, like, dungeon game. And when you get to the fights, like, that was one, like, even on the Genesis, I have no idea how the heck you're supposed to win these fights. I'm just button mashing. And we beat the enemies. In the NES one, the graphics were pretty shitty. Even though it was like the exact same level layout and everything.
Yeah.
But for the Genesis, when you kill them, sometimes you would do things like you kill them and you like swipe with the sword, like their skin would fall off. So there's just a skeleton there.
That does sound pretty cool.
One of them, sometimes you chop them and you like chop off like the top part of their head so it would fly off. You just see his brain there.
Yeah.
It was pretty graphic for the time. I remember seeing that in '91, I think. My cousin came out from California and brought his Genesis. And I was just like,
This is the adult console.
yeah. Because I remember he came out, he had that, he had brought out that he had this Genesis and the Super Nintendo. So that's like where I first found out about Street Fighter and Sonic the Hedgehog and The Immortal. So it's like, here's this and this, and here's this game where you're chopping off people's heads.
Do you have anything else to say about this whole ordeal?
I think that I would really like to see y'all two go through and do it.
Well, I told you if I do it, I'm going to do 10 minutes of each game.
And I will be praying for you, because when it comes to 10 minutes doing the 7th baseball game in a row, you're going to be praying for that sweet release of death.
Yeah, I mean, it will take me the better part of the year to do it. But like...
But no, I would really like to see y'all do it, and then get y'all's opinions on it. There's a lot of games on there that...
Wouldn't it be better if we did it for a different console?
No.
I don't know, because there's a lot of stuff that happened on the Genesis that I never got around to, and I'd like to go back and do that.
No, this is one...
Dallas.
This is one because, and it's like I said, because it's beholden to such this high degree, to go back and do it to see as a time comparison.
Well, what about PS2?
Oh, I would love
People
that.
hold that in high regard.
I would love that so much.
Yeah, but...
And we don't even have to download like 100 of those games. I just got them.
Yeah, but as you said, this is the console that saved video games.
Yeah.
So like everything has basically sprung from this.
True.
So.
But at the same time, I think that a lot of this, like when you talk about the way that the NES is exalted amongst a lot of people, I don't think that necessarily it's because. I don't think it's necessarily because it's video games. I think I think a lot of it is because they have those
memories,
those childhood memories.
Yeah, and that's why, because it's like you're going through and playing these games that when you were a kid, and you love them, but then going back and playing them now, do they still hold up? That's why there's games that, like, while they are super shitty, I still love them.
Yeah.
Like Friday the 13th.
I don't know. Again, like that game sounds really scary up until the sweater part.
It's not scary. It can get intense, especially when you're.
I'm also a coward.
But you're fighting Jason. You're throwing rocks at him.
Yeah.
And he's got an axe just like wailing away at you. But no, and it's like even then, like my first console was a Super Nintendo, and there's games that I liked back then that like I look at them now and I'm like, good God, this thing is garbage.
Yeah.
But the Nintendo, it's the one that's like the console that's just like beholden to that degree.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. I remember thinking too. I was like, the Nintendo was great. It was just like all these awesome games,
Yeah.
and then looking at what was there now and playing, I'm like, man, there's a lot of just garbage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good games on there still, but
Well, yeah. And
going through and seeing like how much garbage there was there too.
I do think you're right though. Like, yeah, obviously a lot of it's nostalgia, but I think Ryan's right as well. And like a lot of it's just like because they're bad now doesn't mean they were bad when they came out.
That's true, and,
You know.
and that's one thing. That's one thing that while I tried to keep in my mind, it was also at the same time very hard to disconnect from. That
Sure.
I'm also playing all these old games 30 years later.
Right.
because I'd like to see how like maybe Gears of War holds up 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's like I went back and played the very first Call of Duty again.
actually, I only got to wait another 8 years before Gears of War is 20. It's kind of weird.
Oh man.
It's kind of weird to think about.
But it's like also too like look at people playing like 64 games now.
Yeah.
Some of them are just really hard to play again.
Yeah.
Take for instance like Zelda 64 or Majora's Mask. You put those against people like playing Zelda games now, and it's
Well, I don't know because like there are updated versions of those games now. You know?
yeah. But if you play like the old original ones
Yeah.
for it, I mean it's not going to play the same.
Yeah.
I think those still hold up pretty well.
They do, but again, they're so old and like with an archaic design that while they do hold up.
Why do you have to hurt my feelings all the time?
Why do you do that to Tom? You come to this man's house and talk crap about the games he loves?
It's because he beats me in Street Fighter.
It's true.
And I think it would be. I mean, it would take forever, but I think it would be a fun exercise to kind of revisit some of these consoles that we played a lot of as kids. And I would love to. I think I've had a lot of. I think just by virtue of like spending a lot of time with Tom, I think I've already played like quite a lot of Super Nintendo games that I hadn't seen before, but the Sega Genesis was a game, or not a game, was a system that while I did own a Sega Genesis, I didn't have access to games in the way that a lot of my friends who also owned the console did. So there was a lot of stuff that I missed out on, and I think by the time I was getting games at a more frequent pace, it was the 32-bit systems were already out, so I kind of abandoned it. And so it would be cool to go back and play some of the games on Sega Genesis that I just hadn't played before. I'd also like to challenge myself because when I was a child, I rented Splatterhouse 3 and I didn't play it because it scared me too much. And now that I'm a grown up, I'd like to try again and see if I'm still a coward.
You will be.
That game is spooky. But there are a lot of games that I hadn't heard of, or games that I had heard of and I just always wanted to try and never got to. And I think that as far as older consoles goes, I think that I had a lot more fondness for that. I had good memories with my NES and Super Nintendo, but I think that I always just got a lot more enjoyment out of my Sega Genesis, and I'd like to see what else was out there that I never got to play.
Yeah.
Play Rocket Knight.
No, see, that's another one that I saw it in, I don't remember what magazine, it was probably a GamePro magazine, but I saw an ad for it. It's like, this game looks so cool.
That's what made me want a Genesis as a kid.
And I had, you remember that little fold out thing that had all the games on it? It would just show,
yes.
it was like an ad for a bunch of games, and Rocket Knight was on that too. I got it around the time I think Sonic 2 came out, and I saw all these games man, all these games look cool, and I'm never gonna get to play them.
Yeah.
Because they're expensive, and I'm 8, and I own and I earn $5 a week, so I'm never gonna get to try these games. So that would be a fun little experiment. But I think that eventually I would like to get through all of them, and I would like to actually revisit PS2 also, because there's a lot of shit on there that I never got to play. I don't know, old games are great.
Sure.
New games are better.
Debatable.
Look at it this way: would you rather play Streets of Rage 2 or Ian's Eyes?
That's dumb.
That is dumb.
Because obviously I want to play Ian's Eyes.
All right, guys, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Tom, Ryan,
Hi.
James.
Bye.
We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.